Oh, good morning, good morning. What a beautiful sight to wake up to in the morning, isn't it? Look at all the flowers. I mean, there's just blooms everywhere. Just everywhere. So many of them are blooming now. The phalaenopsis are all starting to bloom, starting to open up, send out big buds. It's just incredible, just incredible. Just a quick look around. I thought I'd show you a few of the plants that are trying to bloom, or starting to bloom and open up. All the phals are, like I said, I've shown before, that they're all budded up and doing well. Staghorn looks beautiful in the sunshine. Such a big plant. The boys are taking a nap. It took me about an hour to pile all their toys up in the corner. And they'll scatter them back around here shortly. It won't take them about 15 minutes. But all the mounts are doing really well. I've had a couple those little babies, those little flask babies that have, a few of those have struggled. I've lost a leaf or two on those, but for the most part, everybody's doing great. This wall gets some really nice sunshine during the day, and it's getting better. As the days get a little bit longer, we passed December 22nd, 21st, we passed summer or winter solstice. So as of this point, our days are getting a tiny bit longer every single day. So we're getting closer to spring, Here in Alabama, daffodils are already up 6, 7, 8 inches out of the ground, not blooming yet, but getting close. I'm starting to see buds here and there. So we're only a few weeks away from pre-spring, and probably a month away from getting into spring good. But I noticed this encyclia has a flower spike coming out right there. That's encyclia cordigra, if I'm pronouncing that right. What a pretty plant. I hate to say it, but that wood is all red oak, and I'm probably going to have to take it off or out of that mount here sometime this year. All the brassavolas are doing well. They're finishing up their blooms. That one's got a little bloom left up there. But they're finishing up, but they're still putting off a lot of fragrance, doing wonderful. That's Brassavola Little Star. And then there's a lot of the little, I've got a lot of flask babies that are scattered around all over the little pieces of miscellaneous driftwood here and there. Some of them are doing really, really well, and some of them have lost a leaf or two, but most of them are doing really well for the most part. It was inexpensive. They're like $15 a flask or something, but there was like 50 babies in each one, and that's been a great learning tool. It really has been a wonderful learning tool because they take tiny amounts of nutrients also, and even smaller than what bigger orchids take. So it was a great learning tool to learn how much nutrients not to give. That really was a wake-up call. Trying to raise those and get those going. And they also require a lot of calcium. Even as little tiny guys, that was one of the secrets to getting them going, was lots of calcium. So that's Bobophyllum Wilbur Chang doing really well. Big new growth coming out on it. Seems to be very happy. That was one I got from the Orchid Show just a month or two back. One of the big phals over here that's getting ready to open up. This is Kaleidoscope. Phalaenopsis Kaleidoscope. Has monstrous buds on it. Look at the size of these guys. Just getting ready to start opening up. Should be a really pretty one. This Dendrobium finally stopped blooming. It's been blooming since summer. Beautiful blooms, a nice fragrance. It loves that big piece of cedar it's on. It's got a big new cane coming out on the side over here. So I'm feeding it. Everybody that's growing is getting fed, and anybody that's blooming is still getting fed, because any type of growth, whether it's a cane, a bulb, or roots, or anything, if they're growing a lot, they're getting fed. So Vandas are doing wonderful. They seem to love this sunshine. I'm sure they would like more humidity, but I'm just soaking them often. They seem to be doing okay. Their roots are doing well. Hanging in there, no root loss, no problems, no leaf loss. Maxillaria tenfolias are loving this sunshine out here. They love nutrients, they love lots of moisture, and they love bright sun. Give them all three of those, and they just grow, and they grow so fast. Both these little guys are getting to be really good size. And then a lot of plants that I can't hardly see because the sun's facing the wrong direction. But this is Oncidium, one of the Oncidium twinkles. Big flower spike on it. Doing really, really well. Loves it. Seems to really like the piece of wood it's on. Maybe if I turn better, there you go. Maybe we can see it better now. But seems to be doing really, really well. Seems to be happy. Those flower spikes are just monstrous on these little guys. I had no idea. Let me hang this up here so I don't break it, but trying to put it back. But I had no idea the spikes were like that. Just so big and long, and they took so long to open up too. Remarkable plant. Big encyclia, lots and lots of growth on it. This one's doing really, really well also. A couple of dormant dendrobians. These guys are growing, but they're growing roots, but they're not growing any kind of upper growth, no new canes, no bulbs, nothing. They're not losing leaves, they're not doing anything. They haven't changed, no flower spikes, nothing. They're just kind of dormant. So these guys are getting water with some immobile nutrients, mainly calcium, and they're getting very, very, very little nitrogen or anything of that nature, just a little bit to keep their energy levels up, and that's about it. Because I don't want them feeding off their reserves or eating their leaves. So this is another one, Bruce Gordon, Dendrobium Bruce Gordon. Beautiful plant, but not doing anything. So it gave me a couple of really pretty growths this year and did real well. Got some nice size to it. Developed a nice root mass all wrapped around the piece of wood. Seems to be happy on that piece of wood, no issues, but has not bloomed or done anything. It's just sitting here dormant. So, and I know it's not because it doesn't have enough calcium or anything of that nature. So I've just been giving it the same treatment. Lots of bright light and cooler temperatures over here by the window. Lots of water with some calcium in it, but not a lot of nitrogen. I'm just cutting things back. With that Jack's 5-12-26 mix, it's kind of easy because you have a little bit of flexibility with it. I can cut that calcium nitrate back and feed less nitrogen that way. That dendrobium has just done so good on that piece of wood. All three of those pieces that I tied on here last summer did real well. This plant's got a lot of size to it. It grew, I don't know, 20 or probably close to 24 new growths on it this past year. Lots of roots everywhere. And it's been sitting here hanging by the window, just absorbing lots and lots of sunlight where it's cooler. And it's getting an occasional soak in some water with just a little bit of calcium, and that's it. That's where that CalMag comes in handy too, because you can give that calcium without giving a lot of nitrogen. And that's what it comes in handy for, especially with those mounts. Sorry about the horrible camera work here. It's difficult trying to hold the camera with my right hand and do things with my left hand and keep you guys out of the glare. Sleepy puppies, sleepy puppies. This is that leopard lily. Look at the size of this thing now. Look how big this thing has got. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm going to have to divide it and spread it out this year. But beautiful plant with gorgeous foliage. Likes a lot of water and a lot of nutrients. Blooms. Lots of blooms. Some of the denphals are still blooming, sending up more spikes. That is BLC Grant Eichler, Memorial Grant Eichler. What a beautiful one. Opened that big cluster just the other day. One of the big cats starting to bloom down here. Dendrobium finishing. Again, I've got glare facing the camera with all the bright light coming in. I'm not sure how much this you can see. That Phalaenopsis is just gorgeous. Look at the display it's putting on here. Just beautiful. Another big blooms on that Cattleya. It's got more spikes just coming out. That is SLC Jamie Hollingsworth blooming. That one's bloomed before for me, but the bloom spikes have always been just one or two spikes, and usually just one bloom or two blooms, and they're really orange colored. Now I've got 3 spikes on this, and they're nice big clusters, and they're all nice and red and orange color, deep color, very ruby lip, beautiful flower, just beautiful. Really happy with that. And then Phalaenopsis just blooming all over the place, just starting to open up and bloom everywhere. Tolumnias are still blooming. They're growing like crazy. They're getting bigger, putting out new growth, and just, they love to bloom. They're just blooming and blooming and blooming. Sorry for the repetitive talk here this morning, but we'll get a lot of blooms going on. Dendrobium microchip. just continually puts out one little flower spike after the other, just keeps blooming. Here's another spike coming, and just keeps blooming. There's another spike coming out. Another one's down here, you can see on the old canes, just keeps blooming. Lots and lots of spikes. You can see them popping out all over the place. This is that big burgundy dendrobium. Beautiful, beautiful blooms. I'm just really just overwhelmed with all the blossoms. It just looks great. I'm just really happy with the growth and the progress. I'm really, really happy with it all. Here's another little beautiful little flower in this mount. It just started opening up too. What a gorgeous little flower. It's going to have a nice little display here in a couple of days. Another little mini that started opening up. I know these are white, but some of these are really have beautiful detail on them. And I'm really happy with the size of the clusters of flowers I got also. Let me hold this one down. This is green pixie. Grew a really nice little flower spike there. It held onto the existing spike that it had from last year, branched it back off with a nice cluster, and just started blooming. And what a pretty one. What a pretty one. A lot of detail in these little guys. I think Phalaenopsis are some of the most underrated orchids out there, no doubt. No doubt. Let me bring them down to you guys instead of moving. This is a really pretty one. This is, oh, I forgot the name of this one. Something Pink Girl. Not that that helps you guys, but what a pretty one. What a pretty one. It's more of a deeper lilac than it shows, but just a pretty plant. Made for a really nice mount too, I think. Made for a really nice mount. Here's another one that made for a really nice mount too. And again, nice clusters on the blooms, I think. Nice branching. Really happy. Really, really happy with all that. I'm trying to move you slow. This is another little mini phal that started blooming. It's a white again, but look at the throat. Big golden throat on it with these little red speckles, spikes. There are little spots all over, freckles. And again, look at the size of the bloom clusters. That's that nitrogen, keeping that nitrogen levels up. Big fat spike coming out on that one too. That is Golden Peacock, still blooming its heart out. It just loves to bloom. Nice new growth on that dendrobium right there. BLC Windward Flare still blooming, doing great, doing great. This is an example. See this? Let's look at this phal. Look at the leaf. See how it's eating its leaf? And it's trying to bloom, but I want you to look at the flower spike. Look how pitiful of a flower spike I've got here. I mean, I'm happy about flower spikes, don't get me wrong, but 1, 2, 3 little buds on it, and I'm losing a leaf. This plant is having root issues because of the wood it's on. This piece of wood will not absorb water very well. Even if I let this plant soak for an hour in the water, the wood stays very, very buoyant. It doesn't seem to gain any weight. It just seems like it's impervious to water or moisture. And even though the orchid is growing all around it and everything, the roots don't seem to last. They attach, they start growing, and then they seem to die back a little bit. I can't seem to get roots continuously in good shape on it. It seems to be a continual problem with it over and over. And because of that, I don't think it's able to feed itself properly, absorb its nutrients correctly because it's having root issues. And because of that, it's not able to, feed properly. I don't get a look at the bloom spike. That's a good sign that it's not getting enough nutrition. I've got pitiful growth, and I'm losing a lower leaf too. So now I could cut that flower spike off, and everybody's going to say, cut the flower spike off and put that energy back into the plant. It doesn't work that way. This flower spike is actually full of potassium and phosphorus, and if this plant, as weak as it is, if I was to cut that flower spike off and thinking that that's going to revert or put that energy back into the plant, no. Actually, all I'm doing is I'm just chopping off a big chunk of its potassium and phosphorus reserves. And at that point, it's going to do more than lose another leaf. It's liable to lose a secondary leaf, and at that point, it may be too far to save. So don't mess with the spikes. I've shown that before in other videos where I had big plants that had flower spikes, and I didn't pull them off, left the flower spikes on there, and those plants not only came back and grew new roots and everything, but bloomed and started growing new leaves and everything else, and didn't lose the older leaves. So don't cut those flower spikes off unless the plant eats it. And if it eats it, it's trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you it needs more food anyway. That's a really pretty little mini tube. But look at the blooms on that one. Look at the blooms clusters. A couple of spikes that are just starting to open up. Really pretty. Another beautiful one. This one's going to be real pretty when it opens too. I think this is a yellow, a deep yellow one. Nice size spikes too. Here's another one that's doing great, just great. And it has multiple spikes on it as well. Really happy about that one too. I'll put that one right here for now. Anyway, just a quick look around at some of the blooms and what's going on. It's hard to get these out and move them around very easily without breaking buds and stuff off, but I've got to water them. So as I bring them back out in the shop and start watering them here, and I'm going to be doing it soon, I'll put up another video. But I wanted to show you I'm just sitting out here and what I wake up to in the morning, what it looks like. So again, thank you for all those great questions. I try and answer all the questions people ask. Sometimes I'm a little bit delayed. I don't get on for a couple of days, so bear with me, please. I have patience. I appreciate it. But I love those questions. I love all the great questions. It helps me learn, and I hope I'm helping other people learn how to grow these too. I just want everybody to have the same success I'm having. That's all. That's all. And I'm by no means an expert. No. I'm just kind of giving you my approach to it. So I'm new to orchids. So have a wonderful day. Thanks for all the kind words, the messages, the prayers. Get out there and work with your orchids. Thanks for watching, everybody.